And welcome to part 4 of the SonicJs demo. Alright, so in this video we're really going to focus on the front-end capabilities within SonicJs. So we are logged in and then we've gone back to our site and refreshed, and because we're now logged in, we'll see this administrative sidebar on the left that allows us to manipulate various parts of the current page. So we're currently on the home page, of course, and the first thing we'll see is that we have the ability to edit the site settings. We have 4 sections on this page, and in terms of the page layout, I'll just explain briefly. It pretty much follows the Bootstrap layout pattern. So in Bootstrap, you have sections. Each section can have one or more rows. Each row can have one or more columns, and those columns could be spread out with various increments and whatnot. We'll go over that in just a bit here. If we click on the template, then what we'll see is that we can edit the global CSS for the entire site. So this particular file, you can of course edit it in your favorite IDE like VS Code, but it's kind of nice to be able to tweak in real time. So just because it's at the top, we'll take a look at these H1. So we've got some standard margin that's being applied site-wide, and we've got some couple H tags here that we can use for experimentation. So we've got that set to 1.8 rem. Let's just make it 3.8 just to see a difference, and you can see that it instantly makes that change, which is kind of cool. So you can instead of having to make the code change using Google Inspect and then take those values and copy them over, you can literally do it right here in the browser, which is kind of a nice feature. I'll just go ahead and set that back since I don't want to keep that value. And of course, when you're done making your changes, you just save it, and all this does really is just save that file. So you can easily switch back and forth between editing the file here using this online CSS editor and editing the file manually with VS Code, etc. So if I go back to the page tab, what we'll do is click on page settings, and that's actually going to open up the page in a new tab, and we're obviously back at the backend administrative, but you can see that the different metadata that's associated with that page. So we've got the title, whether or not we want to show the hero, some information about the hero if we do want to show it, if we want to apply a class to that page, if we want the URL to be auto-generated based on the title, and some metadata. And then, as we touched upon in the prior video, this content type, of course, can be expanded on. So if there was another feature that you wanted pages in your site to have, you would simply go to content types, add the field, or change one of the existing fields to meet your needs. And of course, there's some utilization of those new fields in the views that we'll get to in a subsequent video, but it all basically uses handlebars. It's really easy. It's really easy to determine where those templates are and whatnot. But again, we'll cover that in a lot more depth in a future video. But back to the front end capabilities. If we expand the section, one thing you can do. So this section is basically this part right down here. So this is the hero. That's kind of standard, and that's why, like, if I go to docs, for example, it doesn't have a hero, but if I go to contact, it does. So those are simply on and off on those two different pages. But if we go to this section here, we'll see that we've got a title here, a little bit bigger title here. We've got some more title text here, and then we've got this gallery plugin here. So if I expand section 1, which is that section, and I edit that, then it's going to show me the raw JSON for that. And we can see here that we have a collection of rows. In our first row, we have content of 2 types, two contents, which are just title modules. And you don't normally need to edit this. As I'll show in a second, you can do this just by kind of pointing and clicking, but if you need to do anything advanced, it's certainly here and available to you. As the front end capabilities become more advanced, you'll probably never even need to use this. But if you wanted to do something like have special classes for your columns, At this point in time, you would need to use this to set those special classes. So anyway, you can make changes here manually and click them. You can see that here we have the media module, which is in our second row, or excuse me, our third row. And you'll also notice that the system internally uses these shortcodes. So it's kind of similar to WordPress in that respect. So you could copy and paste this into another section of the site. You can obviously reuse any part of your content. You can even reuse these types of codes in your views. So there's just a ton of flexibility once you've created a module or once you've created a specific content type of. There's various ways to use it, but shortcodes are kind of the key to that. So I'll cancel out of that. If we wanted to, we could add a new section here. If I wanted to edit any of this text, I can simply hover the mouse over it and click it. And when I do that, what happens is it kind of highlights the current module that I selected. In this case, this is just a title module. It gives me the option to delete that, to clone it, or to edit it. It also highlights the current column and the current row. So if we'll look at the row first, so if I click on that, you can see that I have the ability to add a column in that same row. We can add a row, which would just add a row below that one, and we can also delete this row. So if we wanted to, let's say, make this into a 2-column design, we could simply add a column, and now we have a separate column here. And then if we go to our section edit, we can see that we indeed have a second. It's empty, but we have a second column there. If I wanted to edit this, we can click back on the title, click edit, and then we'll get the editing form. And this form is completely managed by the form builder that we saw in the last part. So if you wanted to add another property to this, you could certainly do that, and it wouldn't require any coding. You just go to the back end. You would find title, because that's the title module. So we'll go to modules, we'll go down to title, and we can see indeed that there are the 4 properties we have, and we could drag and drop our way, add a new property, etc. So the system is very extensible in that way, and you can do quite a lot without having to do any custom coding. You can of course change this to be whatever you want, and we'll submit that, and it saves the change, and there we have it. If I click on this one now, actually let me go over here to our empty column. So let's say that we want to add a new module to our column. We would select the column that we want to insert a module into, click on the add module button, and then this gives us a list of all of our modules that we have in the system. So let's say that we wanted to add an alert, and this is basically like the bootstrap alert. So we would say we want to add that. The level that we want is, let's just say it's danger, so it's going to be red. And let me grab some Ipsum text. We'll add that here. Maybe not so much of it. I'll save that. The page refreshes, and we have our alert. If we go here, this is our media module that can be edited in the same way. If we click here, this is a feature box type module, so you can see that you can add the icon that you want, put the title and the description, which is the copy, and so on. If we wanted to, let's say, move this one over here and kind of move where things are, we can simply drag and drop those. We'll move form builder over there, and so we've just replaced the positioning of both of those. So it does support drag and drop. You can certainly drag and drop to different sections. There's no limitations. And from a high level, that's really all there is to it. So pretty basic drag and drop. You can edit the existing metadata from the module instances that you've added to a page. You can edit the JSON directly, as I showed before. So anyway, hopefully that gives a kind of a high level of the page editing capabilities. There's a lot more that's going to be forthcoming in this area. It's Certainly a lot of exciting stuff kind of in the pipeline, but that's where it currently is. And thanks for watching up to this far. Thanks.